5S component of the presentation this morning. The safety will be conducted by Robin, and then Mark is going to wrap it up with the asset essentials, which I will use to reference that as our work order system. So 5S is still 5S, just as we have used it in the past, but what is different this year is going to be the way that we implement it. So instead of an audit being conducted by each person in the program, which basically was a self-audit, and then an administrator coming in and doing an audit to back that up, there will only be one audit conducted initially, and that is by assigned personnel, which at this point it's mainly going to be me and whoever else I assign. But I intend to do most of it, that way it's consistent across the board. And I will always make myself available to anyone who has any questions in regard to how this process is going to work. I'll do the best that I can to cover most of the material this morning, but I understand that there are going to be questions that will arise and clarification will be needed. I will make myself available for to be done either as another presentation if necessary or a one-on-one meeting with whoever needs the clarification. Also, will make myself available by email or by phone. So you can do any of those to reach me to get clarification for anything in regard to the 5S. So 5S timeline, what we're looking at is the process beginning Monday, October 1st, and I will work my way through each program area. And I will identify each by program area. So let me just pick on one of them. If I'm talking about Mark Chapman's area, collision repair. So that would be the way that I would identify where I'm auditing. And then after I finish the audit in collision repair, I will send the report to the director of the program. If the director of the program needs to have clarification in regard to the audit, then the director will get with me, we'll work through it, talk through it, clarify, and then after that, the administrator of the program will get with the instructor, and then they will begin the process of remediation for whatever is found to be lacking. December 1st is our goal date for all corrections to be done, so I will work my way through, like I said, and get my part done in 2 weeks or less, and then the notification will go out to the administrators. Administrators will work with instructors to complete this by December 21st. First question would be, why 5S? Well, this was in place. I didn't research to see how long we have been doing 5S. Bob Perry would be the expert on that, I believe, but it's been a while. So this... Forever. Didn't even see that you were in here, Bob. Thanks. So forever we've been doing 5S. Now Japan gets credit a lot for coming up with the 5S system, and a little bit of research on my part shows that they really didn't come up with the system. They were just the first ones to really implement it as big as it was. So 5S is a systematic way to organize spaces so that they can run efficiently, effectively, and safely. The system is pretty much universal. You'll find it worldwide for the most part, and most of our businesses and industries in our area that we have as clientele that basically hire our students have adopted the 5S standards. It focuses on placing everything where it belongs and maintaining a clean workspace. Now, in the educational world, whenever I reference workspace, I'm still talking about our educational system as well. The 5 S's are sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Briefly on each of those for clarification purposes, step 1 would be the beginning, and it would consist of sorting through all tools, furniture, materials, supplies, equipment, to determine what actually needs to be there. Are they essential items or are they non-essential items? Step 2, set an order, would consist of organizing and having designated areas for those things that have been determined to be essential. Step 3, shine, is the focus area there is on cleaning, putting away materials where they belong. Standardize is the 4th step. It's a systematic approach to creating standards and using standard operating procedures. The last step is sustain. Basically, just sustain is keeping it going. Don't start it and end it, but carry it all the way through to completion. Some examples that I went around, took pictures of, and again, I'm going to use Mark Chapman as my pick-on program. He has already started and has been doing this for a while, actually. This is a photo of 3 of his toolboxes, and if you notice some things in the picture, you see a yellow stripe on the floor, you see blue stripes around the toolboxes, and if we get close enough to the toolbox itself, you can see that the toolbox has labeling that tells what is in each of the drawers. Moving around into his area, this is a bolt and nut fastener bin. It also has labels. It's very neat. It's organized. And then inside his shop, you notice again the stripes on the floor that designate walking spaces and workspaces. And he even went as far as to label his equipment. You can see that he has Dust Eater on that piece of equipment there. Even the trash receptacle, brooms, dustpans, he has those on a mobile cart, but it still has a designated area. If you notice the blue tape or blue paint on the floor, it belongs there. Now, some people will go as far as to put a label, and he did, by the way, put a label on the floor that says that this is where this item belongs. A rack of tools, this is for his frame straightening machine. There again, notice the striping on the floor. Notice the color of the striping. The yellow and black designates an area where we need to take particular caution. This is a rack that contains a lot of the materials that the students have access to, and I know you can't see it, but there is a label on each item. That is, again, just another example of something that's sitting on the floor that has a particular place where it belongs and also has a label. This is in his classroom. This is a shelf that has binders. The binders are labeled and are easily accessed. This is just, again, an example of how far he has taken the labeling. The light switch is labeled on the wall, and it designates the classroom lights and the screen lights. You know, notice the emergency call button. I will say this, if you should have an emergency call button in every area. If you see that you do not have that label on your call button, then that is my fault that you do not have that. I need to come out and put one of those on if it's not there. This is one of our new employees. This is Jessica Utter's area, and she began 5S just as soon as she walked in the door, I believe. So she has labeled. Notice that she has first aid labeled on the drawer, and you can't read it again, but there are labels on the doors and the drawers. Cabinets, file cabinets are even labeled. This is her area again. MLT, goodness. This place is a challenge, but the ladies have taken on that challenge and have done a very good job. They're still in the process of labeling, and that shelf says chemistry, and it does contain chemistry-related items. This is hematology-related items, and now we're going to move out into the diesel shop. Again, notice what's on the floor. These stripes are there for a reason. They have a particular purpose. Ed and his crew have done a really good job so far, and I know he's continuing to work on this. Another example. Now moving to the toolbox. How long does it take you to notice that something's missing there? Pretty quick. And that is the intent of the 5S methodology, is so that you can quickly identify and not waste time what is there or what is not there and where something belongs. That's a set of sockets. I believe most of those are there. Okay, this is one of those what's wrong with this picture. If Ed is here, yes he is, what's wrong with this picture? Anybody? Can you tell? He did a good job for the most part, but I'm being very particular at this point because I want to use specific examples of what you can do and maybe what you shouldn't do or what you need to continue doing. Do you see anything wrong? Notice what's across the top. Welding hoods are hanging across the top. You can't see, but there's one nail next to the one on the left in between the protective shield and the welding helmet that has something missing. We don't know what that something that is missing is because it doesn't have a label and it doesn't have a designation as to what belongs there. So if you really want to take this to the degree that would make it the ultimate, we would be able to tell what's missing there in Ed's area and then what belongs there. Okay, this is another one of those, it's not quite right. It's a good effort, but it's not quite right. And the issue here is yellow designates walking space, but it does not designate parking space. So we definitely would not be walking in the space that has the yellow striping where the equipment is parked. Now Ed's looking at me kind of with his evil eyes and he's going, well, I didn't know that. Well, that's the purpose of this, is we are going to adopt universal protocols, just like we have with the emergency system, and everyone's going to move in the direction of the universal protocols. So he did well. He's just got to go back and change the color of the striping so that it designates what's there.
You know, that's the old one.
Yes, I do.
We have 5 assets. There's our helmet.
Yep. And that's why I'm not...
We're not missing anything. I want to see a 3-0 on that.
Again, it's not one of those I gotcha situations. This is how can we make it better? How can we improve things? Again, another example of a good effort. Ed would probably say, hey, that piece of equipment or those 2 pieces of equipment that are missing are out there in the shop being used. That very well may be the case, but it's still the wrong color striping for an area designated for something to actually be parked there or remain there. And then the other thing that's missing that would be, again, an ultimate would be what is it that is missing? How do we know where to go back with the tool that's being used out on the floor unless we tell the students or whoever's using it every time that they use it? Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay. Now, next question probably coming from the audience would be, well, how in the world do I know what the standard protocol is? That is for me to disseminate that information. Gay asked that in an email just the other day, and I responded back to her. I'm going to disseminate that first here in the presentation, and then second, it will be made available in as many formats as I can make it available. I'm going to get with Sarah, and we're going to get this on the website. And then the next thing is I will also have it in a format where I can email it. So any way I can get it to you, and if, April, close your ears. If I have to make a hard copy and bring that or send that to you, that will happen too. I want everyone to have all of the information that they need in order to get all of this right and do the best job that we possibly can. Last time we had a grading system that had levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. We're not really grading this year. So what I'm going to do with this information is I'm going to make this available for you to use to self-assess. So you can kind of grade yourself and go, how good of a job am I doing? The best that you can do is level 5. And mid-level, which we used as a standard before, would be 3 or above. So that was kind of our benchmark that we shot for the previous years that we did this. So if you want to use the information that I have and grade yourself and go, okay, I'm at level 1 right now, but I'm really wanting to work up to a level 4, then you will have the opportunity, you will have the information in order to make that happen. Next year, instead of saying 5S, I'm going to push for saying 6S. I like the way that rolls out anyway. It sounds cool, 6S. Robin is going to be the next presenter up, And the sixth S that we would add to this if it happens, and again, I intend to make that happen, is going to be the safety component. So this year, it's going to look different. Robin and I are going to do the best we can to coordinate together when we walk through the program areas and do our evaluations together, because her focus is safety. Mine is going to be 5S, but they really blend together, and they work together. Again, the main thing that we're after is making everything better, making it safe, making it efficient. Does anyone have any questions at this point before I turn it over to Robin? Gay, I should have known. Okay, that's a really good question, and I actually anticipated that question. That's why I used Jessica, where are you? Right here. Jessica came in really early, and I just made a few suggestions to her when I met her early on, and she just took off and ran with it. Notice that Mark took it to the nth degree, which is right up there with probably what I would rate 4 or 5 already. 5 is hard to get to. That's where everything is perfect. So he's up there. He labeled everything. Everything's in order. It's very easy to tell. Now when you move into your world, you're going, okay, I don't have a shop, but it's more of a business world. So you need to blend this. And if you remember on one of my slides, this is where you develop your standard operating procedures. So with the guidelines that I give you, you're going to develop your own standard operating procedures that correlate with this and that make it fit more into the business world instead of the industry world. I recognize the fact that we have different worlds that we teach toward. So make it fit, make it sensible and reasonable. And if you noticed on the pictures that Jessica had, she didn't list everything in the drawer or in behind the door. She used a generalized title and made it very simple. So that's the way I would recommend doing it. And again, you'll have a little bit of guidance here with the information that I give you. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Robin. Thank you. Do you need to click her?
Are you unhooking that so I can put mine? Okay. Okay, can you hear me? My name's Robin Michaels, if you're new to campus, and I work in safety. We're going to be on the same timeline as Brett. Let's see, it's going to start Monday, October 1st, and wrap up on October 12th. I just have one extra step in my process that Brett didn't name that he did. And I just want you guys to know that we're all in this together. We're a team. So hopefully I'll have enough time to do this. I'm going to start the safety audit first thing on Monday morning. After I go through your area, I will be in touch with you so you'll know what I found in your area. And then I'll give you a couple of days. Hopefully a lot of those things can just be fixed immediately, and then it won't go on the report at all. What I did for the PowerPoint is I just looked through the safety audits that we've done on campus couple of years. And I just took some of the most common hazards that I found and made a PowerPoint. Looking at the cords for any kind of damage. Has it been pulled away from the plug-in? Is there damage to the jacket? Is there an area on that cord that has been rubbed over something sharp, that there's been some friction that's created damage? I'm going to be looking at the cords and the extension cords to see if the grounding pin is missing. Is the extension cord being used as permanent wiring? OSHA says that extension cords are temporary and they should be rolled up at the end of each shift or the end of each day. Do you have cords running across the aisle? Are they running under rugs? Do you have extension cords or power strips piggy-tailed together? All of these are a big no. For your electrical panel boxes, are they labeled? Are the doors shut? They're not going to be doing their job if the door is open or cracked open, and you'd just be surprised. Probably 20% of the panel boxes, not just here but out in companies, someone will get in it and then they'll forget to shut the door. So I'm looking for that. Excuse me, there needs to be a 36-inch clearance so that they're easily accessible. Are there covers on the receptacles, on the electrical boxes? No extra knockouts. That's what the little arrow's pointing at if you're not familiar with what a knockout is. We're going to be looking for overloaded receptacles. If this is your only choice, probably need to listen to Mark next whenever he talks about how to put in a work order. Going to be looking at emergency and exit lighting to see if that's working. Fire extinguishers. Has it been inspected within the last month? And someone from maintenance takes care of that. If the fire extinguisher is in your area and you have to use it, or you notice that the indicator's not in the green, put in a maintenance report on that. Looking for missing ceiling tiles. Those are fire hazards. First aid kit. If you haven't looked at your first aid kit this year, pull it out, look at it, make sure that it has plenty of supplies. Are any of those expired? As far as chemicals go, going to be looking for unlabeled chemicals. Looking for your SDS binder. Is it there? Does it have an alphabetized inventory list at the front of it? Is it up to date? Shouldn't have any of the old MSDS sheets in it. Your flammable chemicals need to be stored in a flammable cabinet that's labeled, like the one you see on the slide. Flammable, keep fire away. The doors also need to be closed on these when you're not using it. The only flammable chemicals are the ones that you're using at that time. If you have oily waste, rags that have been in solvents, thinners, linseed oil, combustible liquids, or any other flammable liquid, those need to be put in an oily waste can and emptied at the end of the day. Your compressed gas cylinders, are they labeled? Are they stored upright? Are they secured with a chain, the upper third? And if they're not in use, do they have the cap on them? Going to be looking for combustible dust, sawdust, little tiny metal fragments, unguarded machinery, if the guard is completely missing or if it's adjusted incorrectly. I put the bench grinder up there in particular because that's something that I'd like for you to double check before I come around. Make sure that the tongue guard is adjusted within 1/4 inch and the tool rest is within an eighth of an inch. Eye wash station, are the caps in place? Is the documentation there showing that you've turned that thing on once a week? If you're like me, I'm in the shop, I turn it on once a week. I never have an ink pen, so my documentation is not up to date, Brett. This is the last slide that I've got. As far as the hazards go, I'm going to be checking your exit routes to make sure they're clear, easily accessible. And the whole purpose of this safety audit is not to catch you doing wrong. It's to keep us safe and all our guests safe on campus. The slides that I just showed you, I'm going to be emailing each one of you a checklist. And then if you're interested in a more thorough checklist, the best thing that I have found is the OSHA Small Business Handbook, and it has a whole bunch of different checklists in there. And I'll include that link as well in the email. We are compliant with all these regulations with OSHA. If you're not familiar, it's Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Their website is osha.gov. I'm happy to help any of you with any questions you have. That's my contact information. Questions? All right, thank you.
Called Asset Essentials. It's trying again. It's called Asset Essentials. The main reason we made this switch is Asset Essentials gives us better control over both the routing of our work orders. It gives us better control over preventive maintenance procedures. So we're making sure that things that have to be done on a schedule. and everything will be programmed into the system. So on a scheduled basis, it will automatically produce work orders for us to go change the filters or change the oil in the cars or do whatever. It also gives us better reporting capabilities so we can track how well we're doing our job, how long it takes us to get a work order from receiving it to completing it. And we'll be able to take those results as we build them. It'll take a couple months to build up and we'll be able to compare them with other businesses or educational schools that use the same system, which a lot of them in Oklahoma City do, and compare how well we're doing our job compared to other schools. And it helps us get things done on a basis. As soon as we get connected, I'm just going to go briefly into the system to show you how to put in a work order. It's very simple. Anyway, when we get to you all should have a link on your desktop that IT put there. It says maintenance request. It looks like a little face of a guy. That's the link that'll take you to the login page for Asset Essentials. In the future, as soon as we get some things in our network and figured out, it will be automatic. When you click on that link, it will automatically log you into your page. You won't have to put any more passwords in. It'll be a single sign-in option. We just have to get some things tweaked to make that work. So the first time you log in, I sent out the information. It's your full email address, and your password is password1 ! This company requires a symbol in their password. You'll be required to change that. Pick whatever you want. I suggest just using your computer login and add the exclamation point. Keep it simple. There. So I'm going to have Vicki log into her account because she's a requester. Most of you are just, all you can do is request work, and it's a very simple process. When you get on, it'll come up to a screen that will, as you submit work orders, it will track your work orders forever. So the first screen you get when it logs in it'll be called My Requests. So this screen, Vicki submitted 3 work orders since we started the system, and it says one's new, one's in progress, and one's completed. If you want to add a work order, you go and you click New. It's really simple. We made the submittal form very simple. It comes up. There it is. It comes up. As you see, the first bar is closed. It says Select Site. We have 3 sites at Gordon Cooper, but the system's programmed. It knows where you're at. So you shouldn't, if you open that up, it's going to say Main Campus. And that's the only place you can request for. If you feel you make requests for other campuses too, like Mike, and it's not there, let us know and we can give you access to more than one site. From there, you fill out, you go to the location. This will bring up this box that has every room on campus. You select where you're at. Then you go down to the maintenance issue and select a category. We've kept this short. If you're fairly well sure what it is, select electrical or HVAC. If you're not sure, select general maintenance. And when it gets to us, we'll figure it out from there. So you have to pick one of these. Once you do that, there's a box, a very brief explanation of the problem, and submit it. The system's set up that once you submit it, they're automatically assigned. If you clicked electrical, Greg will get that work order instantly. He has it. We all have it on our smartphones. You can get this and do this on your smartphone too. It's a little easier to do on a desktop, but you can do it on your phone too. And if you ever need any help setting that up, just let me know and I'll come help you. But these work orders go straight to the technician, and they should get right on it. That's what we're going to attempt to do, to get work orders in and out as quickly as possible. Anybody have any questions? Yes, I forgot about that. Down at the very bottom, you can take a picture. You can upload a picture or a document or anything you want to do. We can also, when we finish the work order, we can go in and if we had to buy something, we can attach an invoice to it to show what we bought. And these records are kept on the server with the company forever. Even if we disable an employee leaves and we disable their account, their work orders, they're always there. They can't go away. Just let me know. Just let me know. I can reset it back to the original. The only requirements I know they have is a capital letter, a number, and a symbol. The symbol's what's throwing us off. Huh? But yeah, if you're locked out or it's not working, just let me know and I'll reset your password. Amanda can do it too. Capital P, 1 exclamation point. So it has to have. It should come up on that login screen. That's right. The user, it's your full email and password 1 exclamation point, and then if it's your first time, it will force you to first create a security question, and second, change your password. Pacemaker, yes. I'm just kidding. Any other questions? Save. Sorry, it's save, not submit. That's all I have. Anybody else? Any questions? Any announcements? We're done. Thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of the day.